Hey everyone, Annika here, and before we get started today, I just wanted to let you know that I finally made a Twitter and Facebook for my YouTube! You can see them on the screen now and find the links in the description. Be sure to like or follow or whatever that you do on those various websites if you want to keep up with what I'm doing. Thanks! Hello everyone, and welcome back to this week's episode of I've Been Playing! Now, first of all, if you're here, you will have seen the intro to this video and the ones last week, and this intro is going to be here all this week, so if you're getting tired of it, I apologize. But if you haven't yet, please look in the description down below to find the links to my social media, as well as, you know, while you're down there, if you're not subscribed already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and the little bell so YouTube tells you when I have something out. Okay, that's enough. Self-promotion over. Let's get down to business, shall we? To be honest with you, there's not much to report on this week. Not anything that I haven't brought up in one of the previous of these, specifically the ones I brought up last week. I'm still playing 2 Point Hospital. I was playing a lot of that this weekend. I'm not going to go into that because it's not super interesting and I basically already told you everything about it. But today we are going to take another look at something else on Xbox Game Pass. So today's focus is going to be a game called West of Dead, which is a cel-shaded roguelike western shooter game, kind of is the best way I can describe it. As I said, it's on Xbox Game Pass right now, that's where I'm playing it. It is also on every other platform, so if you don't have an Xbox, you can find it somehow, somewhere on your system, assuming you have one and are watching this. I assume you have one if you're watching this, but maybe not, I don't know. As I said, and as you can see from this footage, it is cel-shaded, or at least I would call it cel-shaded. That's what it looks like to me more than anything, this art style. And it is a roguelike. The one it reminds me most of is Binding of Isaac, just the way the levels and basically the way the levels are set up, and the way I know all roguelikes, you lose stuff when you die, that's kind of the whole point of roguelikes, but this one specifically reminds me a lot of Binding of Isaac, which as far as I remember, it's definitely the first roguelike I remember hearing about, probably the first one I played. I don't know if it was actually the first one, or if it was like just on the cusp of the birth of the genre or whatever, but it's fun, and I am going on a tangent about Binding of Isaac that we don't need to be going on. Let's start over. Take two. As I kind of implied, there are different levels you're going through, so essentially what happened, you're trying to piece together what happened to you and why you're here and why you're dead, and you can't remember anything. Eventually you learn things about your past. I'm not going to go into that. I've only gotten far enough to remember the character's name, which is not very far, really. There are a lot of levels in this game. Looking through the achievements, there are like 10 levels, I think, and that you have to go through. So what you're doing, from what I can gather, from what I know so far, is you're working your way through Purgatory. So you're working down through the levels of Purgatory, and you're looking for a preacher, or multiple preachers, I'm not entirely sure. There's also something with the backstory that has to do with the preacher. Don't know much about it yet, because I've only gotten to one, memory bit that I can remember. But you're working through these levels. There are bosses once in a while. I've fought 2, and I've been through 5 levels, technically 4, areas of the game. So the first area you come to is called the Crypts. It's kind of your standard area, your standard starting area. It's a crypt, so you hide behind coffins and sarcophagi, I guess they could be considered. I can't remember the name other than just crypts, but crypts are the area, right? Not the things. And you hide behind them for cover. It's the starting area, as I said. You get, so when you start in a saloon, and you go out of the saloon, and then you run down a hallway, and then you collect your 2 starting weapons, which are random. I don't think it's completely random, but it's random level 1 weapons, and then you start on the way into the crypts, and then the second level is called the Hunt, I think, and then the third one is the Mines, and the fourth one is the Farm, and that's the farthest I've gotten to so far, and I've only gotten there once. The farthest I've gotten most of the time is the second one, the Hunt. I've been to the Mines twice, because the second time after I died when I was in the Farm the first time, I booked it through the first 2 levels to get to the Mines, and then I basically died immediately. So you do have, because this is why, there are upgrades as you go along. So there's benefits to exploring everywhere, because you have upgrade areas. The 3 things you can upgrade are your health, which is what I always start with because it's always most useful, your firearm power, which is the second thing I tend to upgrade, and then your special ability upgrade, which I never actually ended up upgrading because the special abilities are nice, but most of the time I didn't find myself using them often enough that it mattered, or at least, like, the cooldown isn't that terrible, and it didn't hinder me in any massive way, so I didn't bother personally upgrading those. But it is available, so you find upgrades. There's also a shop every once in a while. I don't know if there's one per level or not. It feels like there is, but I'm not sure. You gather iron as you kill enemies to buy things. You also collect sin to spend with a witch that's in between levels, where you can spend that and then you can replenish your health, which is really nice. I like the replenish the health in between levels bit. It's really helpful, especially if you suck or you just want to sprint through a level like I did the last couple of times I played it. The combat takes a little getting used to. You have one gun on one trigger for the Xbox anyway, one gun on one trigger, one gun on the other trigger. And so you have to, it's not like aim and shoot, you aim with the right stick. It can be a little difficult sometimes to tell if you're aiming or not, and of course you have to actually, like, keep in mind the range of the shotgun and stuff, which I'm not very good at doing because I'm not used to games actually having a range on the shotgun. It's just like lesser damage, but it has an actual range, like it won't hit the enemies. So you have to be careful of that. And then also, of course, you have to be mindful of, you have infinite ammo, but you have to be careful of the reload. And I think the firearm upgrade, I don't remember if it ups reload speed or not. There is a special ability that ups reload speed, like halves it or something. And generally, you know, if you use one gun up, then you use the other gun up. By the time you're done with the second gun, you can use the first one again. It depends on how many bullets there are per chamber. They're not all pistols, but you get me. I don't understand guns. You shoot them, bullets come out. That's as far as my knowledge goes. So there's a reload time. It's not that bad. As I said, there's stuff to help you reload faster. So in terms of special abilities, while we're on that special ability, there's also a shield that you can use. There are other kind of passive ones or more defensive ones. There are also axes and dynamite and stuff, which I found not entirely useful because the enemies can also move, so they don't always hit what you're expecting. The one I did find useful is the lantern, so you can blind things with the light and they'll kind of be stunned, and then you can attack them without them attacking you back, which is nice. But at the same time, if you are in a room with like 10 enemies, by the time you get one or two of them, the other 8 are gonna be on the stunned anyway, and you're gonna get shot. So you've got to balance some situations like that. In terms of big content that I've seen, I have beaten 2 bosses. I have hopefully been playing the gameplay over this, or I will be now. The first boss that I saw, it was kind of like, it's definitely not a mini-boss because I had a massive health bar, but it was like the main thing you're going for is the preacher, from what I can tell. It wasn't a preacher, it was a Wendigo, and that was in the hunt, I think, at the end of the hunt. I got to that fight 3 or 4 times, but there was only one time I was lucky enough to actually beat it, because most of the time I didn't have the right items or enough health, especially enough health and stuff like that. But I eventually bought from the witch. So, I don't think I said this before, but you can spend sin with the witch. This is such a weird sentence. And then you can buy, like, permanent upgrades, so you can upgrade health files and stuff. You can upgrade, I think, how many guns are available at the shop, and things like that. So, I have an upgraded health file, so I can heal more than once, which is nice. And that helped a lot, and I just hadn't lost a lot of health up to that point, so I beat the Wendigo. I also beat the first preacher. I accidentally kind of looked this up on my own, but there's more than one preacher fight. And I don't know if it's more than one preacher or if they're stuck in Purgatory. That part I don't know. But I did beat that fight. I didn't actually get it on video because it just ended right before I finished, but I do have a screenshot of what happened afterwards, so here that is. And yeah, that's as far as I've gotten so far. So that's basically all I have to say about it. I'm really enjoying it. I enjoy roguelikes, but I don't find myself coming back to a lot of them very often because I just don't have the time to get good at them, mostly, and I have a lot of them and I can't get good at all of them, and some of them aren't good. Like, anytime you have a big genre like that with a million copies of the same basic idea, like maybe 100 of them are gonna be good, and not all of them are good, and I just don't have the time to kind of bang my head against one. This is coming from a person who is willingly playing Bloodborne more than once, I realize, but roguelikes are different because you lose absolutely everything, at least Bloodborne, unless you accidentally, like, wipe your save. You don't lose absolutely everything every time. Blood Echoes maybe, but like everything else you keep. So I don't know, I've never really invested much time in a roguelike, but I did invest a good portion of this week into it, and I enjoyed it. Thank you for joining me for this once again. As I said, if you enjoyed this and you want to see more, be sure to hit the subscribe button. I do these every Monday, at least that's the plan, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!